Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're cracking open the Monopoly Playbook. We're going to dive deep into the hidden economic forces that actually dictate the prices we pay every single day and track how these massive corporate entities operate. We'll explore how they've kind of shifted from being viewed as traditional economic villains to occasionally modern anti-heroes. Let's kick things off with a question that might hit a little close to home. Have you ever actually stopped to wonder why you might pay more for the exact same pizza than your neighbor? I mean, maybe one of you uses a printed coupon and the other doesn't. Or maybe one gets a student discount while the other pays full price. To understand this super relatable pricing puzzle, we really have to look at the concept of market power. You see, big businesses often play by a hidden set of rules that let them extract the maximum amount of revenue from the market. And the ultimate, most extreme version of this market power? That's the monopoly.
So let's establish a quick baseline for what truly gives a company absolute market power. True market power requires three core things: a single seller, a totally unique product, and strict barriers to entry. It's not just about being a highly successful company, right? It's about being the absolute only company in a specific space, offering something literally nobody else can provide, and making sure nobody else can even join the party.
Okay, let's dive into this. How exactly do monopolies block competitors from just, setting up shop next door and stealing their customers? Well, they build formidable walls. These barriers to entry basically pop up from three main areas. First up, ownership of a vital resource. Think about it. If you own the only diamond mine in the entire world, nobody else can sell those diamonds. Second, legal barriers. These are things like government licenses or patents that legally forbid the competition from copying you. And third, economies of scale, which creates what economists call a natural monopoly. Now, a natural monopoly is a really fascinating exception to the old rule that more competition is always better. If you look at the yellow curve here, the long-run average cost curve, notice how it swoops downward as it moves to the right. What this shows is that a single giant firm producing 100 units of output can actually supply the entire market demand at a much lower cost per unit. We're talking just $15. Now, compare that to 5 smaller firms producing 20 units each. Their cost per unit rockets up to $35. So in industries with massive, heavy infrastructure costs, having just one giant system is actually way more economically efficient.
But once a monopolist actually has the whole market to themselves, how in the world do they decide what to charge? Well, there's a golden rule for monopolies. Produce at the exact level of output where marginal revenue, or MR, perfectly equals marginal cost, MC. You see, unlike a competitive firm, a monopolist is a price maker. They face a downward-sloping demand curve, which means to sell an extra unit, they have to lower the price for all units. So to maximize their short-run profit, they have to find this exact mathematical intersection where the cost of making one more unit is perfectly balanced by the revenue brought in by that unit. That right there is the secret formula for maximizing monopoly profits.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how that golden rule plays out visually. On the left side, we see profit maximization. The firm finds where MR equals MC, traces that straight up to the red demand curve, and sets their price. Because that price is higher than their average total cost, which is that blue line, they make a really healthy profit, visualized by that blue shaded rectangle. But look at the scenario on the right. Yes, believe it or not, even a monopoly can lose money. If their average total cost curve is up high, way above the demand curve, producing where MR equals MC just minimizes their losses, which is shown by that red shaded box. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is that a monopoly's short-run success entirely depends on the position of its demand curve relative to its average total cost.
But monopolies, and honestly, large firms in general, have another completely fascinating trick up their sleeve to squeeze out even more revenue. And this brings us right back to our early pizza puzzle. How do businesses legally charge different people the exact same thing? If the product is identical and the cost to make it is identical, how on earth does the price change depending on who is standing at the cash register? The answer is a little strategy called price discrimination.
These graphs perfectly explain the mechanics behind this trick. The top graph shows a company charging a single flat fare for, say, a train ticket. That pink square is their total revenue. But they're leaving money on the table. They miss out on the adults who happily would have paid more, and they miss out on the seniors who simply can't afford that high single price. Enter the bottom graph. By segmenting the market, basically distinguishing between different groups of consumers, they charge adults a higher fare and seniors or students a lower fare. Look at the shaded areas now. They capture both the green box and the pink box, extracting maximum revenue based on a consumer's willingness to pay. The only catch? They just have to be able to prevent the cheaper product from being resold to the adults. And this isn't just some abstract textbook theory. We literally see price discrimination every single day. And it isn't strictly restricted to massive monopolies either. Any firm that acts as a price maker can do this. Think about hairdressers, where female customers are charged a higher price than male customers for similar cuts. Or back to our pizza takeaway coupons. The restaurant is just segmenting the market between the people willing to spend time clipping a coupon and those who just want their pizza right now. We see it in senior citizen discounts, different seat prices at sports games, and volume purchase discounts. It is literally everywhere once you know what to look for.
So, monopolies are absolutely fantastic at extracting revenue. But what happens to society as a whole when they're the ones running the show? Let's contrast a competitive market with a monopoly using a great example, gelato. On the left side, we have a competitive gelato market. The price settles naturally, the quantity is high, and society enjoys that big blue triangle known as social surplus. Now contrast that with the monopoly gelato market on the right. The monopoly deliberately restricts the quantity to drive the price up. Notice that gray triangle right in the middle. That is the social loss. Because the price is greater than the marginal cost, the monopoly produces less output at a higher price. They essentially become a resource misallocator compared to perfect competition.
Case closed, right? Monopolies just cause social loss and overcharge us. Well, actually, scratch that. It's not quite that simple. There are two very distinct sides to this argument. The case against monopolies is exactly what we just saw. They overcharge consumers, misallocate resources, earn long-run profits safely behind high barriers, and alter income distribution in their own favor. But look at the case for monopolies. Their massive financial strength gives them the unparalleled ability to innovate. They can take those huge long-run profits and dump them into deep, risky research and development programs. Because of this, the rate of sweeping technological change is actually likely to be greater under a monopoly, simply because perfectly competitive firms don't have the spare cash lying around to go out and invent the future. And that connects this economic theory directly back to the modern world around us. Just looking at today's massive tech giants, companies that effectively own the vital resources of our digital lives and operate with incredible economies of scale, is their market control a fair price to pay for world-changing innovation? I mean, they act as price makers, they use advanced price discrimination, and they for sure cause some social loss. Yet they also fund the R&D that literally changes the way humanity communicates, works, and lives. It's this brilliant, complex balance between market dominance and technological advancement. So thanks for joining me to unpack the Monopoly Playbook today. Keep your eyes open the next time you use a discount code or buy a slice of pizza, and always keep questioning the economics around you.